But first, I would like to just read out the letter that we wrote to the police so that we have them here today. So we had wrote to the Inspector General, Mr. Sidi Mukhtar Toure. Yeah, he's a Gambian Police Force Headquarters, Banjul, the Gambia. Dear Inspector General Toure, I hope this message finds you in good health and high spirits. I am writing on behalf of the Council of African Descendants, KORA, a community organization representing the interests of repatriates living in the Gambia. We commend your leadership and the ongoing efforts to the Gambia Police Force to enhance public safety and community trust. In light of the growing concerns about the safety and security of our members, we respectfully request a meeting with the Public Relations Officer, PRO, to organize a question and answer session. The primary objective of this session is to foster open dialogues between the Gambia Police Force and the repatriate community, addressing pressing safety concerns and exploring opportunities for collaborations to create a safer and more inclusive environment for all residents. To ensure a constructive and solution-oriented discussion, we propose the following key points for our agenda. So we have all the questions here. Yeah. So I don't know if you want to say something before we go into the questions. Okay.
Good afternoon. I'm honored to be here on behalf of the Inspector General of Police and on behalf of the Gambia Police Force, by extension on behalf of the government of the Gambia, to be invited here to this very important gathering where we will actually have to discuss concerns. And it's important that we discuss, especially when it has to do with security. It's an honor. And I guess the Inspector General of Police allowing me in person, my office, to represent him here to have an open dialogue with the African descendants. I think this goes to show how willing we are as a Department of Police to be able to listen to the Gambians and people living in the Gambia for better security. And also, we can't have better security if we don't know some of the problems that some people are facing. We may not know everything. We have our plans, we have our operations, and that can be limited to our targets in terms of crime-prone environment. However, there may be other concerns that can only come to light in a discussion like this. On that note, I want to appreciate this, and that this should be something that should continue amongst us, between us, so that we can be able to provide for you the services that we all deserve as a security institution, because that's the reason why we have the Gambia Police Force, to provide security for everybody in this country, because security is one of the most important cardinal features of development. There can't be any development without security, because development goes with investment, allowing people to come into the country, people who are in the country to be able to be certain that they'll be able to invest. They will be able to invest. They will be able to invest in the country, because then they will be. Sorry about that, madam. My voice, I get that a lot. That but the more I talk, the more it goes on. The more I talk, the more it goes on. I'm sorry about that. And let me try to shout, I guess. Okay. Yes, I was trying to say that for development of any country, security is very paramount. There can't be development, economic development, infrastructure development, because there is investment. And the people who reside in this country, Gambians and alike, who are coming into the country, have to be assured of security, of their individual security and their investment, to be able to invest in countries like the Gambia for our economic growth. And I think it is important that we, as a security force that is responsible of ensuring that our citizens live in the Gambia, and anybody who lives in the Gambia lives here very peacefully, is certain and assured of his or her security as a person and her investment. One of our mandate, or the core mandate of the Gambia Police Force, is the protection of life and property. of everybody who is within the country. So being as it may, being here, I guess, is important, and we're trying to see how best we can together work together to be able to realize the security that we want for an advanced Gambia and a developed Gambia and a safe Gambia for everyone. And thank you, please,
Yes.
and thanks for having me.
Yes. You're welcome. Bob.
First of all, I would want us to start with a norm, which is known for Gambia. Because even in the World War II, the white people, they used to mock the Gambians, that they say Jakum Jakum. Because when they are at war, they even pray. And they call Gambia a land of honor and glory because we glorify a lot. Because we have our elders out there, imams and priests and rabbis, who start their gatherings with prayers. So I would want to start with prayers first before we get into whatever I have to say. We pray in our individual ways. Thank you. I am very honored to be here to represent Gambians without their permission. And for every Gambian that is sitting here, before I go further, I would want to seek permission from you first. Am I permitted to carry on? Thank you. This is a right step towards the right direction because I believe in synergy. Because people unite in hearts and minds and preferences. And I believe that sameness is not oneness. The way we see the diasporans who came from abroad, we have the same skin, yes, but they have a different mindset. And also, I believe in evolution. A lot have evolved. And I was having a contract with the fire service. Even the nature of fire has evolved. The firefighters are having problems because what happened is what makes it to the room now is different from what makes it to the room 20 years ago. The nature of crime has evolved and things have changed and overwhelming. Communication is key. And I think this is the first time that we're closing the gap between the authorities and the ones that are affected, either in a small or big way, because I don't believe in little things. There are no little things in life. Because if we know what little things can do, only a matchstick can burn the whole bush. So I believe that this dialogue is going to bring all the abstract barriers between the diasporans who are affected in their own ways and the police, whose responsibility is to make sure that there is a safe environment, and groups like ours, because I am the founder of LEAP, the League of African Patriots. And our job is to make sure that we create the environment so that we can close the gap between what comes into the country and what exists. Because if you go into a country, you need eyes. And what eyes do you need? People who live there, who shows you what works where, because there are norms and values and the cultural differences. So that's the reason why the LEAP exists. So I am honored to be here and open-minded and open-hearted and refraining from pointing fingers, character assassination, and blame, for us to be proactive, because we need proactivity, because crime is a stunning, raw reality. Our countries are suffering because we are going through a lot of crisis, socio-economic crisis. The environment have changed. But I believe with the minds that came, including the minds that exist here, there are no dumb people in the country here. We are very smart and intelligent people. But if we synergize, I believe we can come up with a program that Gambia can be paradise on earth, and we can make Gambia smile again. Thank you very much.
Yes. So thank you for everyone for taking the time out, especially on a Sunday, to be with you with us today. What Babuka Jen said is really good. And I know a lot of people could resonate with what he's saying. I'm a person that always believe to get the right authority to speak, especially to the public, so they could understand what is going on. Because I don't know the law. So that is why we went out and we made sure we get the police here. So whatever information the police got to give here today, got to be concrete for us to go by. Yeah. So I always believe in getting the right voices so that we could know where we are and where we stand. Okay. So thanks again for all of you to be here today, yeah, especially the press as well. Thank you all for being here today. Yeah. So the first question is about community safety initiatives. Yeah. So we're just looking for updates on measures being implemented to protect vulnerable groups, particularly the single women and families who have been disappropriately affected by the crimes. Well, basically, what happened last year, we had two incidents where two people from our community being murdered. Crimes happen in every country. So that is why we really call for the press conference so that we could have a closer relationship with the police. So when things do happen, at least we know that we could work along with the police and we could solve some of the problems. The police, they did react very quickly and caught the killers, so those cases is ongoing. So once again, it's best that we hear directly from the police. So that question is update on the measures being implemented to protect vulnerable groups.
Thank you very much for the question. And we're going to look at this in general first, because when you talk about vulnerability, you're going to look at so many things. Are we looking at the minorities? Are we looking at, you actually specify children and women who are affected, who might be affected. But the approach of the Gambia Police Force is a bit holistic, in the sense that we have realized there have been an increase or fluctuation in an increase of crime, especially in terms of different crimes. And for this, we feel that it is better to take a holistic direction, meaning that at the regional level, because we have a central level at Banjul, then we have regional level. The Gambia is divided into 7 regions from Banjul, KM, West Coast, NBR, LRR, CRR, and URR. So for the Gambia Police Force is that at each region, we have the regional commissioner, who is the head of the police service within that region. And also within this region, we have other sister services, including the military. But internal security basically is more of the police with the immigration, the drug law enforcement, the fire service, and the prison services. But the approach that we have taken, we also included the military, because mostly, in addition to the armed wing of the Gambia Police Force, that is the paramilitary or the police intervention unit, locally called PARA, we also have them within the regions across the country. So we organize ourselves as one security outfit to be able to fight against the crimes that may be committed in terms of crime prevention. We came up what we call patrol. At first, we started with night patrols because we realized that most of the crimes that are committed are during weekend, Friday and Saturday. And that is explainable because these are times that people would need to relax, go to clubs, enjoy themselves, get relaxed for the week that they have worked, and get rest on Sunday and go back to work. So there are two possibilities here. The two possibilities are what we have realized: criminals have two targets, either to target these people at their home or in the clubs or in the streets. Meaning, when they leave their homes, now their homes are empty. They go to the club to enjoy, because they would go around and scout around and survey the environment. We had similar cases in Bruford Heights, where a house was targeted. And they went in, I don't want to be specific to that, but they went into the house, broke the house, because they knew the time that this person would be at the house. So they picked whatever they could at the time and went and hid it just nearby. So that when it is late, Because that's the time he would be there and the environment is dark, they would come and take it away. But fortunately, it was reported early before they could come back for their items. Then the police were there to get this. So what I'm trying to get at is these are two possibilities, meaning they survey and know what valuables are in your compound because they are thieves, they are criminals. How could they get this? At which time that nobody would be in the compound or a minimal number of people in the case of robbery because they would find somebody there, but they are maybe just one person or two and they are coming in numbers. So they will force and break the house and get what they need to get and tie. We had incidents of that in Banjul where a watchman was tied and they got into the house and took whatever they could. So that is one aspect of it. The other aspect could be now they know who you are, they know where you're going to, whether in the nightclubs or your way of from your house to your acquaintance, wherever you are going. So these are the areas. So when we realize this happened usually in the weekends, Fridays, Saturdays, then we reinforced and came with a publication to all regional commissioners that effective immediately that we are going to have what we call night patrol, joint night patrol. And because whatever happened in this country, we have what we call Security Council. And the Security Council is at the level of the executive, where the president himself sits. The vice president sits sometimes, if not most of the time. So, and all the security heads sit and decide on the happenings of this country. Whatever is happening here in terms of crime is discussed at that level, meaning at the executive level, we are aware of what is happening in terms of crime, the type of crime, the number of crimes, and all that. And at that level, we are able to come up with recommendations how to mitigate this. Like you mentioned, we can't stop it. It's not possible to stop crime. We cannot stop it, zero. But what we can do is to mitigate, to reduce, to prevent. It's a common saying that people would always say that the criminals are a step ahead of the police every time. Because anytime that we come with something, they also will come up with something a step ahead. But what I'm trying to get at is that then we had this recommendation from that council, and this was despite to all the regions. Effective, we are able to now go across the country. We bring personnel from all units within the security fraternity in the country, including the military, that at night we all come together and gather and do a night patrol the entire night. Security officers are trained on how to detect crimes and even in the criminals. So, and there are times of the night that when you see somebody as a security personnel, because you are in uniform, because you are a security personnel, you also have the mandate to stop anybody and ask anybody, to stop anybody and search anybody, to stop any vehicle and search any vehicle, to get into any compound or any vicinity where it is reported or suspected of a place where crime is conducted or crime is planned or whatever in every of this nature. So this was one of the mechanisms we put in place, and it has been working. But because, like I said in the beginning, criminals, they knew the pattern. They realized that, okay, these people now come on Fridays and Saturdays, and Sunday, then Monday to Friday is not as effective as the weekends. Now they have to do what? They have to change plan, a game change. Okay, because they have an interest, and their interest is to commit crime. So when we equally realize this, because we have seen that it paid dividend when we actually started this. We've arrested individuals who were involved in petty crimes. We arrested individuals related to drugs. We arrested individuals related to immigration. This is why we go with the immigration. When people are arrested and their immigration status is not regularized, then these people are handed over to the immigration department the next morning, then they are processed accordingly. Who require deportation, who require whatsoever, or court, that will be processed. When we arrest people, that is in relation to drug-related crime or drug, they are handed over to Drug Law Enforcement Agency for processing. If it is related to police duties, then the police on the ground will handle this. This is what we've been doing over the weekend. But now we actually expanded this, not limited it to only the weekend, because we have realized that the criminals actually detected the pattern, because it's a pattern. They've been observant, they are smart. So what we included or added is not only in the night, but also in the day. and not just weekends, but every day. Now, what we have is, I won't go into the details of that because they are watching or they'll be watching. But what we do know is that there are visibility patrols that are ongoing.
Okay. We're going to come into that question now. Yeah. So the second question here is emergency and response mechanism. Yeah. So a review of current procedures, challenges, and possibility improvements to ensure timely police intervention, especially remote areas.
Yes, this is a big challenge. Actually, I can't say we have one that is actually very effective. It's not effective. We have a system in place, and the system is that you would see in our press releases. We always say that, at the last sentence, report any crime to the nearest police station. You suspect any report to the nearest police station. How do you do this? How do you report to the nearest police station? Is you walk to the nearest police station and make a report. While you are reporting something that you suspect, before you even reach to the police station, that one is either committed, is done and gone. This is a challenge. And we are aware of this at the headquarters level. Because my line, the public relations officers line, official line, became the emergency line by default. Because that line is known to everybody. So it's like I don't have time for it, whether at night, they will call me. So what we do is, what is happening right now is that we actually, when they call me, I refer them to anti-crime, the nearest police station, and all that. As we speak, there are efforts towards this because we already identified this and we are aware this is a challenge, and we are working with our partners, to be able to see how best we can have a command center that is going to respond. Emergency center. Command center is different. Emergency center, we are going to respond. We have the structures in place. We have a place where when you call, for example, if you call in 117, maybe somebody can try. You wouldn't be able to get it. That's the emergency line, and it's a free toll number of the police that you call. We had the system here. If you are closer to Senegambia, when you call that line, it should ring Senegambia. So that Senegambia is shorter, they can report. We had the systems in place, but the system has broken down, and for one reason or the other, we are still not yet was unable to get it up. But we recognize this, and part of our plans for 2025 is to ensure. In recent, I think 2 weeks ago, we had one of our staff who actually came to audit to see what is required. What do we have already in place? And what is important is we already have the number, which means whether it's GAMCEL, AFSEL, any of them, you just call 117, you should get us. You would actually get us sometimes you wouldn't get us because of the structure and all that. So for that reason, we are trying to see how best we can, because if we are actually asking for people to report, there has to be a report mechanism, a system in place that is accessible, that is reliable. And this is a challenge, one of the most important challenge right now, but one of the most important, because for rapid response, we have to communicate. How do we? At the moment, we have a command center where we have the communication system with all the regions that we can communicate. You can be at headquarters and through GPS, you can know where an officer is. You are already located, the mobile traffic, police stations, our response services, the anti-crime. We used to have walkie-talkie kind of, still almost similar communication system that we communicate across the country. So we're trying to see how best we can put this together to be able to work with the rapid response, so that when there are emergency calls, then they can be able to coordinate with the command center. The command center will be able to dispatch to the person who is affected, or the information given, because the person who may be calling may not be even affected, but is given information. Then information, let's say, is about Senegal or to be turntable, then we know who the officer there. We would call that person. This is a report that has reached us. Would you please find out and X, Y, and Z and get back to us? I think this is very important. Yeah. And we have a challenge, and the challenge is the structure is not working. There has been some issues around this.
So do you all have a time frame when we will get this structure up and running? Because that is quite important for our people to know. There's an emergency number that we could call.
Yes, at this moment I can't give you the specific date as to when it will be up, but I am aware work is already on this, because this is important. This is one of the most important means of communication and also for the police to be able to respond to the need of the public.
So at this current, now, you're saying there's no emergency response that we could call in case of anything. Is there any numbers that we could reach, any units?
Yes.
Okay.
Unit numbers are there. The anti-crime unit numbers are there. Even if you go on our Facebook page, we displayed it there. That is the reason why we displayed it on our Facebook page. But mostly the PRO's number is well known everywhere. So that's my number, because I have almost all the numbers of all the almost all police officers in this country. Almost police. If you call me, I am at, let's say, at Brusubi, I have this X, Y, and Z, I need your support. I said, okay, let me give you anti-crime number. Or let me call anti-crime, tell them that you are at this position, they are coming. It's not the best way.
Right.
Honestly, it's not the best way, because there are a lot of, redirection and all that. Had we had a simple system where when you call, you just get the closest officer around you.
A call center.
A call center, and that's it. So this is the challenge. I can't be specific as to the date, but I am aware, because they came to my office to audit, because it was part of my office responsibility.
Okay.
So to audit what is available, what are some of if it is actually not working, what are some of the challenges, and what do we need? Because also you understand that things have changed, because we are in the modern world, advanced technology. We could use better technologies to be able to address this, and then maybe if based on what we already have, what could be, whether we have to change the entire structure, or we just have to adjust on what we already have to be able to serve them.
Press lead on waste transporters across the country. Demand for compliance with statutory and regulatory requirements. The National Environment Agency (NEA) has observed with great concern the growing number of private waste collectors using different mechanisms in the waste operators, thus posing a huge challenge in addressing a clean and healthy environment. The manner in which waste is transported and disposed of affect the aesthetic value of our surrounding environment due to the discriminate dumping of litter and other unacceptable behavior in public places with negative environmental implications. The agency, as mandated by the National Environment Management Act 1994, hereby calls on all private waste collectors using vehicles, motorbikes, donkey or horse carts, and other means to register with the National Environment Agency to enhance the regulation and enforcement of the Anti-Littering Regulation 2007 and ban on plastic bag order 2015. Waste collectors are required to visit the National Environment Agency at its Carnifing Complex, Jimpex Road, or NEA regional offices in West Coast Region, LRR, NBR, CRR, and URR during office hours from Monday to Tuesday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., and Friday from 8 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. for their registration, and to be issued with a permit after meeting the requirements effective 13 January to 14 February 2025. Collectors are hereby reminded that waste dumping in non-designated sites contravenes the Anti-Littering Regulation 1999, thus committing an environmental offense. Thank you. Signed by Dauda Baji, Executive Director, National Environment Agency, working together for a clean and healthy environment.
bataaxal bi jógee National Environment Agency ñu gën leen a xam ci NEA ñoo yëgal askan bi di wax ne ñu ngi bàyyi xel ne ankati mbalit yooyee nga xamante ni ñoom ñoo tënkuwul ci nguur nee na ñu gis nañ ne jamono ji nag ñu ngi gën a bari si ñoom te ñu ngi wax ne ñu bari si ñoom ni nga xam ne noonu la ñuy jëfee dëppoowut ak li nga xam ne moom mooy yoon yenn ci ay place ñu fay faral di tuur li nga xamante moom mooy mbalit mi ba loolu daf dee indi gàllankoor li nga xamante ni moom mooy area boobu maanaam ci dend googu nga xam ne moom la ñu dëkkee te yooyu yëpp nag dafa bokk ci li nga xamante ni dafay jalgati loi li nga xam ne nag moo jëm ci wàllum agency bi de National Environment Management ci acte bi nga xamante ni moom moo leen jox doole ci atum 1994 ñoom ñooy woo nag li nga xam ne moom mooy private yëpp maanaam ñi nga xam ne dañuy yëngu ci boobu mbalit mi maanaam di ko ànd di ko tuur ji te tënkuwuñ ci li nga xamante ni moom mooy nguur lu ci mel ni ki ñi nga xamante ni ñoom ñoo yore ay moto wala ay motobike wala li nga xamante ni moom mooy ay sareeti mbaam ñoom ñëpp nañ daw gaaw dem register ji ci National Environment Agency ci nu mu gën a gaawee waaye nag ci yoonal bi nga xamante ni lu munta ñàkk la te bokk ci li nga xamante ni moom mooy loi bu régulation bu 2007 ak li nga xamante ni moom moo nekk ban bi ñu baanoon plastic bags yi ci 2015 muy anti littering bi ñi nga xam ne nag ñoom ñooy ankatu mbalit yi di buubkatu mbalit yi nga xam ne ñoo tënkuwul ci nguur ñu gën leen xam ci private ñoom ñëpp nañ dem seeti ja National Environment Agency ci li nga xamante ni moom mooy seen office bi nekk ci Kanifing complexe Jimpex maanaam ci yoonu Jimpex bi wala ngeen dem ci bépp li nga xamante ni moo nekk NEA ci li nga xamante ni moom mooy gox yu wuute yi ci biir réew mi maanaam regions yi ci li nga xam ne moom mooy seen office yi lu ci mel ni West Coast Region LRR NBR CRR ak li nga xamante ni moom mooy URR ci diirum nag li nga xamante ni moom mooy ci altine bu nekk ba alxamis ci juróom-ñetti waxtu yi ci suba bu jotee ba jàpp li nga xam ne moom mooy ñeenti waxtu ya ca ngoon lu si mel ni ki àjjuma nag seen office yi dina ubbi ci li nga xam ne mooy juróom-ñetti waxtu yi ci suba ba fukki waxtu yi ak ñaar ci digg bëccëg bu toftalee fanweeri simili foofee nag ngeen di dem def li nga xam ne moom mooy seen registration ci li nga xamante ni moom mooy agency bi lii nag mu ngi nekk ci diggante li nga xamante ni moom mooy 13 January ak li nga xam ne moom mooy 14 February 2025 ba tey National Environment Agency ñoom ñooy fàttali buubkati mbalit yooyu nga xamante ni ñoom ñooy an mbalit bi ci suñu kër yi di ko yóbbu ci tuurekaay bi nañu moytu di tuur mbalit fi nga xamante ni yoon santaanewul pour ñu war faa mën a tuur li nga xamante ni moom mooy mbalit te loolee suñu ko defee dafa mel ni jalgati nañu yoon ci li nga xamante ni moom moo nekk anti littering mbokk yi lii nag ki nga xamante ni moom moo ko sign moom mooy Dr Dawda Badji Executive Director bu National Environment Agency di wax ne ñun ñëpp nañu ànd booloo joxante suñuy loxo seetal suñu environment ak suñu wér-gu-yaram